Aloha! We've gone over the question pools and assessments views, but now it's time to talk about Test Drive. The Test Drive view allows you to see your published settings in effect. It is a very close rendition of what the students would see. One of the differences between Test Drive and a student view is that your Test Drive view will show you all of your assessments, even those that are not published and therefore hidden to the students. This allows you to check your test before you publish it. You may also test drive your assessments as many times as you want, so you can ignore the tries status here. The other difference is that file permissions are still in effect, so you may see files that only you can see but students cannot because they do not have the required permission. If you have images or link to resources in your assessment, it's best to view the test via your Student View account. You will only be able to do so after you published your test, so test driving is still an important step to do before you publish. If you would like to hear a breakdown of the various elements of this page, please view the video TTS from a student perspective. Let's go into an exam. Here you see exactly what the students see. They get notices that correspond to your published settings. For example, any instructions from the instructor, information about the layout of the assessment such as flexible or strict, which boils down to whether or not they'll be able to go back to a previous question, information on multiple tries, the time limit, and so on. At this point, the time to read the instructions provided for the overall assessment does not get included into the timer. This particular test requires the student to agree to an honor pledge. Now we're in the test. This test has one page for each part, with a total of 3 parts, which is why the next button is available. Because it's flexible order, the table of contents button is also available. Instructions are always available to click on and review, though if the test is timed, clicking on it at this point will count against the timer. The instructions will include any of the messages that correspond with your published settings, your overall assessment instructions, and any part instructions you may have provided. One thing to keep in mind is limiting the amount of questions on a single page. It's up to you to place a limit, but when students fill out the assessment with their answers are not saved until they click on one of the buttons at the top: Previous, Table of Contents, Next, Instructions, etc. Students may not know how to save their answers, but if you present your assessment with a limited amount of questions per page, they will do it automatically. There are drawbacks to layouts, such as 1 question per page. If the time to load each page is about 10 seconds and the assessment has 60 questions, then 10 minutes of their time was spent on loading and not participating in the assessment. Review checkboxes are only available in flexible order assessments. Students can mark questions for review to remind them that they should come back to this question later. They may use review for harder questions or questions that take longer to fill out during a timed assessment. In Table of Contents, questions can have a symbol next to them indicating a status. Here you can see a question I marked for review. There are also questions I did not answer. If one of the multiple choice or true and false questions had a reason text box along with it, this icon would be next to the question. Now that we've seen what an assessment looks like, let's go ahead and click on Finish. Here, I see the final message text provided by the instructor. If I allowed review upon submission, there would be a review button available instead of a return button. Within the review section, we could verify that what we selected in published settings was exactly what we wanted the students to see. See the video Published Settings for more information. And that's all for the test drive view. Mahalo!